There you go.
There we go.
Oh, is this still on? Yes.
It's still on right up close.
Well, Schaeffer Farm is the work of hundreds and hundreds of dedicated mountain bikers like you all.
That's right.
McGill and I have been doing it longer than most people.
Yeah.
Back in the 90s, he and I explored all the public land in Montgomery County looking for places where you could ride. We discovered, gee, this is a long Stream Valley Park with almost few horse trails, but not much else. So we approached the state park people and said, how would you like us to build a trail for 20 miles from Potomac up to Damascus in the Seneca Park right-of-way for free? And they said, well, you're crazy. They said, but you know, we just got the same offer from a group of hikers from Montgomery Village. You need to meet these people. So the hikers brought fried chicken, and we did a hike, and then they revealed their colors. They said, we could not actually enjoy a trail if we thought a bicycle might ever go on it.
Might ever.
We rolled our eyes. The state park guys rolled their eyes, and they said, we have a political problem here. They said, you know, we have 2,000 acres just sitting above Seneca Creek with nothing happening. And if we don't think of something to put there, the developers are going to grab that land back from us. How would you guys like it? A deal. You let us break state law and make the Stream Valley Trail hiker only. In exchange, we'll give you 2,000 acres to make bike trails on. We said, oh, we have to think about that. So we came out and we explored it with a hiker, and we went back to the state and said, well, just this once we'll violate our sacred principles and agree to a hiker-only trail down there, and we'll build the trails here. One condition, our trails are open to everybody, because we're the good guys. Woo! And they said, no problem, fellas. So for 2 years, work groups of 30 and 40 people turned out to build the white and yellow loops. And it was really cool. And we did it quick and we did it cheap. And the park people, state and county, were amazed at how much energy the bikers had and what a good job. About a week before ribbon cutting right here, state park guy calls me, Dave, he said, slight change of plans, bikes only. We said, oh, that's not the deal. Why? He said, the horse people don't want it. We said, that's funny, they helped build it. Hold a minute. Called him. No, they do want it. What's your real reason? He said, we didn't cut the overhead vegetation high enough for horses. We said, there isn't any overhead vegetation. What's your real reason? They said, our attorney general says we should worry about liability. Bike might startle a horse throws rider, we get sued. We said, well, shit happens. It's not common, yeah, it could happen, but that's not the deal. So we went to the mat with them in Annapolis, and we had on our side a state delegate, Brian Frosch, who's now the Attorney General of Maryland. He is a sometime mountain biker, and he twisted their arms, and we won. So our trails have always been open to everybody. And we used to see a fair number of non-bikers, trail runners, and we got a wonderful write-up in a book called 50 Best Hikes in Maryland. We were listed as number 21, and we still are in their third edition. And they say, oh, you should come here again and again to see the crop cycle, because it goes through farms, and see, you know, the seasons change and everything. It's really interesting. And yeah, there are a lot of bikes, but they're very polite, said the book. So that was good. And of the 2,000 acres, 1,000 are fields rented to various kinds of farmers. And originally, the main tenant was a dairy farm in what's now this horse operation. And now that guy, young couple, struggling, they would show up with guns to keep us off the trails, even though we were allowed to ride. And they eventually, they went under. So the state had nobody in their biggest parcel. And all they could find was a stable, a 60-stall commercial horse stable. So they dropped them in the middle of Schaeffer Farm, despite their Attorney General's worries about conflicts. And we used to see horses on the trails. Some, still see a little evidence of horses, but not much. And things went well. So it's always worked well because bikers are such friendly, nice people. And we have been. It has been a model of multi-use success, and everybody admits that. Personal note: I'm a recovering politician. I did time in the Maryland legislature and then the Montgomery County Council, and then I lost an election. And my wife said, "Geez, what am I going to do with this guy? He's going to be underfoot all the time without bills to sponsor. Here, dear, here's a book. This will keep you busy. Triathlons for old guys." So I started that, wrecked my knee from running. Somebody invents mountain bikes. And I said, "Well, this is really fun. You should try this." And this is advice to people who wish their significant other was more into bikes. I said, "You have to try it." So she said, "Bounce through the woods on a bicycle." Well, why? Can't explain it, you have to try it. So she tried it, and at first she hated it because it made her bottom sore. But she could see I was a lost cause, so she stuck with it. Now she's more fanatic than I am. Yeah. So anybody can enjoy it. Anyway, as a recovering pol, I said, we should go political. We should, organize for elections. And to their credit, the wise heads at IMBA in Boulder, instinct told them that it's going to be a long time before we outnumber the Sierra Club. So in the meantime, let's earn our place in the woods by doing masses of volunteer work. And that, of course, is what Moore mostly does, is build trails, fix trails, all that. And over the 30 years McGill and I have been active, public budgets for parks keep shrinking, and the manpower and equipment power available for trail work gets less and less every year. Pretty much all they can do is cut the grass around the visitor center so the place looks nice to the larger number of people who come in. So they're deeply grateful to the bikers and what we've done. And we've become the nation's experts on building trails. So most of the new trails that get built in most places around the country are built with the fine hand of mountain bikers looking to make them bike friendly. So the number of really cool places to ride is expanding greater than our numbers. And it's all thanks to all of you for being part of this really successful, really fun movement. And that's Schaeffer Farm is just a little example of good stuff bikers have done all over the country. Thank you.
Let me just add a few things. After we built the first white loop and the yellow loop, about 1998, 99, someone came in and built a bunch of really fine illegal trails. So we had to do something about that, and Scull and I went to the management and said, here they are, let's fix them, let's make them legal. And we got support from the park manager to do that. And we're talking about the orange trail and the green trails. But they ran into a problem in Annapolis that they didn't want to build any more trails out here. And Dave Scull arranged a meeting, I can't remember the name of the senior legislator, where we got the head of DNR in, and he made his case that they should not build any more trails in Schaeffer Farm because the sediment that would come off of the trails would adversely impact the Chesapeake Bay. And I just remember the line when the guy said, I hear you, but the demographics just aren't there, which means there's more voters who want to ride mountain bikes and who won't believe this story. So it took going and fighting for that to be able to put these trails in here. And thanks to Dave for getting that done and arranging that. Because otherwise we would basically have a 10-mile trail loop here, and they really weren't going to build more. One last thing is, and I think many of you are mountain bike tourists, and I don't know if you're like me. I know most people here, when they go out on a trail, they actually notice what other people are riding in terms of bikes. Personally, pretty much all I notice is how the trail is designed. And it's been fun to go around and see how people do things elsewhere in the nation and in the world. Just a couple of points. The green trail that we built in the side of the hill, you all know the term bench cutting. When this trail was built, I went back and looked at the original design. There was no plan for any bench cutting. We didn't even understand the concept. It didn't exist. So when we went to them and said we want to build this trail up the side of the hill, after we'd gone out to Colorado and the mountains of Virginia and Washington and seen what could be done, they looked at us like, no, you can't do that. You don't have the workforce to do that. So we finally got approval, and people turned out and built these amazing bench cut trails. Now they're all getting old. We hire people with machines to do it. But back in the day, we actually built them all by hand. And there's probably 10 or 15 miles of bench cut trail here, and it's been fun to bring that technology. One more point is the Schaeffer numbered maps. Boy, what an effort that was. But if you've ever been out to Albuquerque and seen their amazing network of trails in town and in the suburbs, they, I think, are up to 135 intersections. So, it was a whole new way of thinking about it, because everyone was going to name trails. You're going to have a name for this trail, a name for that trail. What's fun about this place that's so different is that you can ride it any way you want. And I would love to see an interactive map and see if we get everybody to say, what's your favorite way to ride Schaeffer? Because I'll bet everybody here has a completely different way of riding this area.
Schaeffer by the numbers!
So, again, it's been a real pleasure to have the opportunity to co-lead with Bob Caverly and Todd and Rick Meyer and a whole number of other people keeping this trail up and making it better. And thank you all for all your input on that.